What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Red Zone DFS. We've got the 2022 Masters breakdown. So obviously my article came out yesterday. We're going to take a look. I'll run through my guys. We will take a look at updated ownership, and then we are just going to have a little bit of a discussion about a few things. So I'm going to go over to Twitter real quick and share this. A few different people. Looks like, got some video from everybody out there practicing today, so that was a good thing. Why is this not going live to Twitter? There it is. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. We are just going to send it here, and here. All right, very good. So we're going to take a run through here. Just let me reload my Fantasy National. So we are looking at a very interesting Masters, I think. Obviously, Tiger Woods dominated the news. He's going to be really the one, that's carrying a lot of the news. But I think that, we've got some really interesting stuff going on. So we're going to go right ahead, take a look at some ownership projections right now. This is about as close, I think, as we're going to be able to get as we run through. And it looks like, as we talked about a little bit in the pod or in the article, that it looks like Justin Thomas is going to be the one coming in with the highest ownership. Right now, he's projected about 19% calculated ownership on FantasyNational.com. You can expect that to be probably 6 to 8% higher in GPPs. I think in some higher dollar single entry stuff, I think you can expect it to be maybe a little bit higher than that. John Rahm, second most expensive player, coming in at the second most ownership. Brooks Koepka, who's actually picked up quite a bit of steam, right behind him. Will Zalatoris, who's also steamed up quite a bit this week. Then we've got Cameron Smith, Xander Schauffele, Matt Fitzpatrick, all in the 15 to 17% range. Shane Lowry, Corey Connors, guy I really like at 7,600. Not as chalky as I think. I think he's another guy that a lot of the sharper players are on. So in larger field or in higher dollar single entry and 3 max, I think you can anticipate that he will be a little bit more expensive. Dustin Johnson looks like he's going to be the lowest owned of that upper group. So here's another one. A cluster of guys that I really like this week are right here in the 13.5 to 12.5 range. And that goes from Jordan Spieth, Neiman, Siwoo Kim, Patrick Cantlay, Rory McIlroy, and Adam Scott. All very, really respectable ownerships. I like what I'm seeing with Tyrrell Hatton at only about 11 to 12%. Love that Colin Morikawa is still just down there at 9 to 12%. He's going to be somebody, I've still got a few builds left to do. I like to build a little bit earlier during the week off of some information, digest everything, write my article, and then kind of come back to everything by the end of the week, just to kind of see, what's going on, right? Some other guys, Louis Oosthuizen is another guy that, I think he's going to have a pretty solid week, coming in at 8 to 9%. That's good news. Thomas Peters is going to be one of the chalkier guys in that 6,000 range. He's coming in at about 7 to 8% ownership, but that's not a ton. But for somebody in the 6,000s, that's actually quite a bit. Looks like no one really wants to hop on the Tiger Woods train. And guys, I don't really know why you wouldn't want to play Tiger Woods. I'm going to be playing quite a bit of him based on his ownership number at 5 to 6%. I'm going to be pretty heavily overweight on Tiger Woods. And if he's playing, I don't think that he would play if he was not going to plan on making the cut and then playing throughout the weekend. And at $8,500, the way that this man can play this particular tournament, I mean, I don't really know what else you really want. He's won so many times here, and he plays so well here. I mean, I think it's a fantastic play. A guy that if you want to get away from a little bit of the ownership in the 6,000s, I think that I like is Harold Varner III. If you go back and look at our metrics and why I kind of got to Harold Varner III, obviously, when we're down in the 6,000 range, there's no one really super safe. But if you want to play a few of those guys up top, he's somebody you're going to have to, take some stabs down here. But he's way down here. He's 16th in DK points scoring over the last 50 rounds in this field. Now, I'm going to play a little bit longer if it's a little bit wetter this week. But I think that Harold Varner is still somebody that, it's a direct pivot away from Thomas Pieters at the same price, which I'm going to play a little bit of Pieters, but he's got better numbers, strokes gained approach. He's got better numbers, strokes gained around the greens, which both are very, very, very important at this course, right? He's got better numbers putting, just about an average putter, gaining about 0.1 strokes per round against the field. Thomas Pieters, he's losing strokes, right? Harold Varner, his detriment is off the tee. He doesn't hit the ball super, super far. Again, I think he can make up with that with some of his approach, his around the green. And at 6,600 with a lower ownership number that he's going to be at, I think the HV3 is definitely a good pick, especially if you're playing some of the like $100, 153 max. I don't think that he's going to be a guy that's super popular in there. Now, look, at 6,600, there's no sure thing, right? But we just have to take some inferences of the data that we have in front of us and kind of go from there, right? So, we can see what will happen. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, obviously, but these are the guys that I'm kind of banking on. I did have some additional interest in Victor Hovland. I think that he's being a little bit overlooked. If you look at where he's priced at, right there in the low 10s as well. Not going to carry a lot of ownership. Scotty Scheffler, one of the lowest owned of the higher priced guys. I think everyone just doesn't really believe in, his price and can't really stomach paying $200 more for Scotty Scheffler than Jon Rahm. And look, it's really hard to argue with that, right? I personally am not going to have any Scheffler. He's going to be a fade for me. Another guy, if you're looking for a really interesting play, especially if it's going to be wet, okay, and it's going to play a little bit longer, Bryson DeChambeau, okay, I don't know if I can personally get there, but I think it's important that we need to point it out. He's going to be like less than 4% owned at 9,100. He's right near Will Zalatoris, who's sucking up a lot of that. You've got two guys there that are risks. They've been dealing with some injury. Hideki Matsuyama could certainly, he pulled out with the injury. But last time Matsuyama played, look at what he's done so far this year. He's gone first at the Zozo, 13th at the Century, first at the Sony, 30th at the Farmers, 8th at the Phoenix, 39th at the Genesis, and 20th at the Arnold Palmer. Now, he's pulled out. He's been dealing with some injuries. But, if you're playing in some larger field GPPs, I don't know how you can get away from, not using this guy. Just taking a stab, right? If you're going to throw 20 entries into the Millionaire Maker or something like that, him and DeChambeau are guys that you really, really have to take a good hard look at. Another guy that if you're playing in some of those larger field GPPs, who's quite a bit overpriced and his ownership is reflecting it, would be Taylor Gooch. Now, at $8,700, he's $200 more than Tiger Woods, which is just wild to me. But, you know, I think he rates out pretty good here. You know, obviously he had the win at the RSM. He missed a cut at the Players. It's his pricing, why he got priced up so much is pretty strange. But I think he rates out pretty well here. His putting has been okay, hasn't been bad. His strokes gained off the tee are about even with the field. He's a guy that I think you could take a good shot on. You know, came 7 at AP at the Arnold Palmer, won the RSM, had a really good swing season in the end of 2021. Came 26th at the Phoenix, 20th at the Farmer. So, you know, miscut at the Players. You don't like seeing that. Didn't play last week. Yeah, he's a guy that, again, if you're playing in some of these large field GPPs, I think you just have to take a stab at, right? And kind of go from there. I like how he rates out. You know, the big draw for me with Gooch, you know, 6th in DraftKings scoring. You're going to get some of these guys at the Masters to make the cut, and they're just going to just be terrible. Just like last week, I had a lineup with Ryan Palmer playing great. Just went off the face of the earth in the weekend and really didn't do much for me, right? You're going to need people who are going to score in DraftKings. Guy right below him, his ownership has now picked up a little bit, but Sam Burns at 8,600, I think, you know, is a very fair price for him, and I really have some interest in him. In some of my 3 maxes, I'm going to be getting him in there. He's a guy I kind of moved on to a little bit more. He's got a tee time later in the afternoon tomorrow, so it's supposed to be maybe a little wetter in the morning. But with the sub air at Augusta, I mean, really, the course will be pretty friggin' dry. It's going to be a little juicy in some spots, maybe around the green, but for the most part, I mean, it's going to be pretty dry out there. Another guy that I hit that, you know, I personally, he's popping up in the optimizers is Russell Henley. I don't know. For me, I mean, I think that he might just be, you know, he's a fair price at 7,800. His ownership is a little bit up there, right? If we're taking a look at, where's Russell Henley? He's up in the 13 to 15% range, right? I just don't know if I love that. A lot of people like Matt Fitzpatrick this week. Personally, it's just not for me. I would rather play Corey Connors for $100 less. The Noodle, Webb Simpson, no for me. I think Justin Rose is going to have a nice week this week. Patrick Reed just not getting any ownership. He's somebody I wrote up in the article. I have an outright bet on him, but like I don't know if I can explicitly get there. A guy that I really did like quite a bit down here at the 7,000, seems like a lot of other people do too, is Bobby Mack, Robert McIntyre, the big Scot, the big left-hander. Man, it's kind of a bummer, but he might be some of the chalk that I'll be eating. We look down here who people are playing. People are playing some Sepp Straka down in the 6,600 range. JJ Spawn from the winner from last week, basically not getting any love. You know, sub 1% ownership, and you know, really nobody else down here. Zach Johnson, yuck. I do have some interest in Higo. I think he's a pretty damn good player. I know that Mayo is really, really big on him. Mayo thinks he's going to win a Masters at some point during his career. He certainly could. I mean, but for the skill set that he has, Gary Higo at 6,300. Now, 3 missed cuts in a row, not great. I'm not going to lie, you know, it's concerning, right? But it's another guy. Cameron Champ is another guy that has had a good history here at the Masters. I don't really care. He's a guy there's certain golfers that have to be in form in their game looking pretty good to be able to win. Cameron Champ has 3 wins on the PGA Tour, and they basically all just come out of the absolute sky, right? So if you look at Cameron Champ's, his win at the 3M, he went miscut, 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 11th, first. And then, it's like, it's kind of the same thing. You look back, he just pops up, finds form for like a week or two, and then it's gone again, right? His other win back in 2019, he went miscut, 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 21st, 65th, 28th, win, miscut. So, his first win ever, Sanderson Farms, 2018, miscut, 25th, first, right? And then, the tournaments leading into that were not much better, right? So again, we're down here in the 6,000s. If you want to play a few of the guys and not go with a balanced build, this is definitely going to be a little bit more contrarian to play multiple of these guys. It's very risky, but if you're going to come down here, Peters is obviously a guy that I like. Varner is a guy that I like. Cameron Champ is a guy that I like, and Higo. So those are my 4 guys that made my player pool in the $4,000 or in the $6,000 range, excuse me. And I think that, those guys, if you want to take some stabs down there, you most certainly can. I want to take a look. The one thing weather-wise was the wind. Now, the wind looks like it's going to be pretty spicy this weekend. I'm going to look for Augusta, Georgia. I don't know why this didn't save. So I'm using the Daniel Field Airport, which is, I think, the closest wind finder gauge that we're going to get. So, it actually looks like it's calmed down a little bit. Friday afternoon is going to get a little gusty. Nothing crazy, but we know, Amen Corner, the wind swirls in there. Thursday, we're looking at, sustained of 15, gusts up to 23. Friday afternoon, man. 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., we're looking at sustained winds of 16 miles an hour, gusts anywhere from 25 to 30 miles an hour. So, again, if you want to try and if you're going to take some risks with guys, wouldn't be the worst idea to get them out on the course Friday morning rather than Friday afternoon. We could take a look. Fantasy National has a nice little feature where now if you go in there, if you're a member, they have the tee times lined up on there. So if someone's playing later in the day on Thursday, that means they're going to be playing earlier in the morning on Friday. Based on what we're looking at right now, that's going to be pretty positive to miss some of the wind. And it happens that out of the where did Higo go? So Higo has a morning afternoon split. Peters and Varner are actually playing together, and they go afternoon to morning. So that's good for that. Cameron Champ is at 11:29, so he's going to be morning. I mean, he's going to be pretty even. It's not going to be a big split for him there, but it will be more in the afternoon on Friday. So yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't put a ton of stock into the weather, but if we can use that to be like some of the tiebreakers when we're talking about some of this stuff, I think that's a good way to use it. That's something that I like to use for a tiebreaker. Yeah, another guy that what did this is not a great course for Kevin Kisner. Self-admittedly, he's talked about it several times. If you follow, his interactions with the Barstool guys, with Riggs and Trent and the Foreplay Pod, um, self-admittedly, Kevin Kisner, this is a long course, and especially if it's going to play a little bit wet, he just doesn't hit the ball a long way. But he's been playing pretty damn good lately. Again, just went to the finals, the match play, played the Valspar, um, came fourth at the Players, third at the Sony Open a little bit earlier in the year. He's from the area, lives in South Carolina, not far away. And what can Kevin Kisner do is he can putt the fucking lights out. He gets a hot putter, 6,800. I mean, he's a guy that I got to thinking about some of my bigger field stuff. I am going to throw probably about 10 to 15 lineups in some of these larger field tournaments. He's a guy that I'm going to take a shot on in some of those, and really kind of see how my lineups break down in some of those. But yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting prospect to take a look at, and see how he is going to play. I think he's going to do pretty well. He's been playing well lately, so he's somebody that I would personally like to trust. But we'll just see. I only wanted 10 lineups, not 20. Can we do that again? Just 10. That's way more than 10. I just wanted to see what our optimizer is going to spit out. Update. Generate. Whoops. Update. Generate. Have to update them first. Duh, Jim. Okay. So, yeah. So, it's definitely interesting, right? The lineups that you get Higo in there, right? You can get Rahm and then 3 people from the 8,000s. That's pretty interesting, right? HV3, again, he's at 6,600, gives you quite a bit of leeway. Cameron Champ, there's some lineups that it spit out at me that are a little bit dicey. We got 2 guys in the 10s, 1 guy in the 8, and then Peters and Champ. So you're just going to have to play around with it a little bit. I think that, I haven't moved off of a ton of my guys, my player pool. I've added some people to the player pool. I've got about 30 golfers total in my player pool. But again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those guys are in the 6,000. So those aren't going to be core plays for me. Really, at the end of the day, my core guys that I'm going to ride or die with this week are going to be Morikawa, Rory, Spieth, Oosthuizen, which is terrifying, but it is what it is. Tiger, Adam Scott, Tyrrell Hatton in the 8s, Corey Connors, Justin Rose in the 7s, and then Cameron Young at the low 7s are Cameron Young and Max Homa. Cameron Young, I think, is a fantastic play. He does get that bad draw, so he's going to get some big wins in the afternoon on Friday. But overall, that's kind of who I'm going with. We have it's going to be good. If you're in the position to be able to play some weekend lineups, I think that's always really interesting at the Masters, just because your 36-hole leader, if they're not one of those big names, the pressure is just going to ratchet up so much that, it's like a lot can happen, right? So, look, good luck, everybody. Don't want to keep this too long. We're also going to release this in podcast form as well. So that way you guys can get it out, and we should be able to get that out a little bit later tonight. But good luck to everybody. Follow us on social media at Red Zone DFS and at JJ McIntosh. We look forward to seeing you guys. Good luck.